Good morning. It is 3 minutes to 5 o'clock. Sunday. Today's what date? I think it's the night. Let's get the date right. The 10th. The 10th. The 10th day of March. Yes. So in 4 days' time, the world will hear a very important announcement coming out of the Privy Council. And it's something that has caught the world's attention. It will be streamlined all over the world. A verdict that had gone through its rigmarole and now reaches final stages of decision. Lots have been said coming up to this, and lots have been done. Lots have been proven, and I'm talking about the Vibes Cartel Privy Council case, just in case people are wondering what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the justice and the injustice. I speak a lot about the justice system. So, in the wee hours of the morning, you can tell your mama, tell your papa, tell your auntie, tell your niece, tell your friend that Tai Chicos is on his live again. Just tell them to tune in to Tai Chicos Original 1950. Right? On TikTok. He is about to present a story about injustice from the Holy Book. And we are going to draw a parallel. The reasons with this case. But before so, listen to this man latest. This is Tai Chicos himself. Some say trade. That is yours truly. The same title customer. And for you who do not know, he's jack of all trade and master of versatility. He masters versatility. He do so many things. He wears so many hats. Right? Right? But one of the most underrated individual in the world. Right? But the God I serve put me into a comfort zone. You know, the God I serve give me all the rewards. The God I serve give me all the protection. Well, you get me clear. So when man doesn't reward me, God certainly do. Right? And these platforms, no one gives gift of such. But when you don't give me gift, God certainly gave me his gift of life. And I'm so happy to be here with you on the 10th day of March 2024. And the reason why I'm here, because the gift of life that God has given to me, he still retained it. I still retained it. And that's the reason why I'm here this morning. No other reason. I'm here going to read 64 verses of an unjust case that turned over by Daniel. And we have seen a case in modern time, another death penalty is about, as most people anticipated, going to be turned over for corruption. It was corruption that causes this young lady to be sentenced to death. Lies. And the wise young man called Daniel was in the courtroom. And Daniel realized that the justice system was flawed. And he rebelled against it with the power of the Most High and said, stop the case. You cannot sentence that young miss to death under that sort of evidence. Come on, clean people, righteous people. I want you to steady in the ship, right? And listen truth, right? Now, let me first tell you, this is not a live for the weak heart, the unjust people, corrupt people, right? These people, those people won't support live like these, right? So, as a matter of fact, if you are not alkaline, you're not clean, then you're not well like me, first of all. So as you come and you see me, you go run. That is for sure. Now, if you're clean, you will stop and you will listen and you will learn. Right? But if you are one of those who love corruption, you're not gonna stay in this life. Let me warn you. Right? So before you stay there and you make trouble, just as you come and you see me, flash, run. Because this train carry no backbiters. This train carry no corruption. This train is filled with alkalinity, purity, and sanity. This train, this life, right? It defends truths and rights. All right? So, for those who love truth, rights, cleanliness, purity, sanity, alkalinity, are your thing this. All right? Yes. So now, this story, I've been reading this story for many years now. I can almost say the entire story without reading it from the book. But because I don't want to miss a line, I want you to hear every word, whosoever hasn't heard it or read it before, right? And you're gonna see how justice overrule injustice, and could very well be the case come on March 14. Here, there's a little difference in this story, and one of the difference is this case is about a female named Susanna. Our now case is a male by the name of Aditya Palmer, right? Right? So we are gonna, I want you are the judge now to draw parallel to this case. And I hope from today, if you are planning any form of injustice on anyone, just desist from doing so, because there is a power that seen you and will bring justice unto you, and you will look bad, as I expect some people to look bad after the handing down of the Privy Council. I expect a lot of head to hang in shame, right? Okay? All right. Not saying whether the man is guilty or not guilty. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying, where injustice has crept in, it makes me feel nervous, because it could me, my sons, my daughters, my cousin, my brother, anybody to me, that corruption would have placed behind bars for life. That's where I'm at. Right? So listen this, or even put to death. Right? Let me give you the introduction of the book. The book of Susanna is a story that was added to the book of Daniel. Evidently, when the latter was translated in Greek, the book tells how the beautiful and virtuous Susanna, falsely charged with adultery, is cleared by the wisdom and courage of Daniel. Now this book has 3 phases to go through that consist of 64 verses. The first one, 2 wicked judges attempt to seduce Susanna. That is one phase. The second phase is Susanna condemned to death. And the third and final phase, Daniel rescues Susanna and judges are condemned to death. Please stay with me for the 64 verse of this 3-phase story of injustice turned to justice. Right? The death penalty have overturned to life. Right? Yeah, all right. All right. It entitles Susanna Attract 2 Judges. And all these sexy, hot girls, fancy girls out there, you are a target. I'm telling you, you are a target out there to people that has influence, people that has, yes, enough money, lots of material values. They have influence over you, and if you are not smart, you will get caught. A lot of you want to go through certain things, and you will get caught. You're dressed up nicely and sometimes falsely just to attract. But little did you know that you are only attracting more worries on you, more trouble. Right? In this case, there was no makeup here. It was a natural beauty that robbed these two judges of their discretion. Right? And notice the word seduced. Right? All right, let's go. In Babylon, there lived a man named Joachim, who was married to Susanna's daughter of Hilkiah. Susanna was a beautiful woman and deeply religious. Her parents were devoted Jews who had brought up their daughter to live according to the law of Moses. Her husband Joachim was very wealthy. Lovely gardens surrounded his house, and the other Jews often gathered there for meetings because they all thought so highly of him. Everyone who had a legal case to present would also go to Joachim's house, where two judges held court. These two leaders of the Jewish community had recently been appointed to office. They were the ones about whom the Lord said, "There is wickedness in Babylon. Judges are failing to give guardians to the people." Exactly what is happening here. The justice system had failed us badly here. Terribly. Thank you. Right? Had failed us terribly here. Right? Good. Every day at noon, when all the people left for lunch, Susanna used to take a walk in the gardens. The two judges were so attracted to her that they would wait around and watch for her. They became so obsessed with their desire for her that they lost interest in both in prayer and in their responsibilities as judges. Now, we know that women have the tendency of attracting you. Yes, I love them. But at the same time, you must have certain control, especially when you are placed into a sensitive, responsible position. I saw a lot of policemen charging for rape. Yeah? Lot of doctors. That is irresponsible. Right? We are not expecting that from you. If you are a shutter, then we expect that from you. If you are unlearned, yes, then we would expect all those from you. But people into high places, we are not expecting that from you. So you always been a surprise when you do these things. But guess where the buck start? The buck start at the recruitment desk, the lack of discerning power to discern whom you are appointing at sensitive position, the screening process, right? Now, dirt cannot wash dirt. So you cannot have a corrupted individual screening another corrupted individual, because all you're doing is multiplying corruption, and corruption will get more abundant more than less, right? And we saw it here as we go through this morning. Yes. They each wanted Susanna, but neither told the other how he felt, for each was ashamed to admit his lust. So day after day they watched eagerly to catch sight of her. You know them obsessed thing that hey, the girl are coming out. See the boom, the girl sexy. I would Jesus if I ever get the chance. Now they had the power of the law, jacket and tie, so they could easily influence, and by this they must have seen others that they would have influenced and lured them into their sexual activities. But here is Susanna, who DJ Phil, morning, who refused to and put up a resistance, just as Isaac Buchanan said, I will take the job. Oh, glory be to God. Let your spirit reign in me this morning. Yeah. I've seen injustice here, so let me face it, because I'm not a coward. They each wanted Susan. Neither told the other how he felt. Let me just track this down and translate it back to the vice cartel case. There are many people who would want him out of the way in Babylon. Yes. And many had thought that he had an influence, too much influence on the people. So in Susanna's case, it would be a case of lust. But in this case, Adijah's case, is a case of envy. Right? So let us, what said envy, yes, it mixed with envy and determination that they go overboard and turn wrong into right. Let me put it that way before anybody go start saying me say, right? Right? Because if this man is released, it's not on the grounds that he did not do what they say he have done. He was released on corruption and injustice to a case that would be clear cut if them never interfere with it. So I want you to get that clear. I am talking about justice here, right? All right. Okay. But neither of them, but each was ashamed to admit his lust. So day after day they would watch eagerly to catch sight of her. One day at noon they said to each other, "It's time for lunch. Let's go home. So they both left and went their separate ways. But soon each one came back for a look at Susanna, and by accident they met each other. Oh you so oh you oh you so lie. How you so lie? How you say you go home? How we buck up yourself? But the powers that be started to cut them down, started to bring them down, started to bring them to the forefront of reality. Right? That's why you must be careful what you are doing, Right? So the two of them buck up. Let's hear the two of them now. At first, each other tried to explain what he was doing there. But finally, they both confessed their desire for Susanna. Right? They decided to watch for a time when they might find her alone. So they kept waiting for the right opportunity. Listen me carefully, right? This is not for weak heart. This is not for corrupted people, right? No, not at all, right? This is for people who are transparent, true, and love justice like I do, right? That's why I wake up this hour of the morning, bringing this to you, and you can go and look back for it on YouTube after this live, right? And you can save it as souvenir, right? Good. This section entitles "The Judges Tried to Seduce Susanna." Now, oftentimes I've heard in different departments or sectors of life where they call it now sexual harassment, right? Because of the male dominance in certain things and female tries to enter, right? They have to go through certain victimization to do certain things that they do not want to do to reach the top because of these influencers that are at the helm. They have to pass through them to go to reach where they want to reach. It's been happening. Many had gone through that and can keep it. Many are damaged morally by that. Many don't recover from their ordeals. Right? Many don't. Many have the strength to overcome and come out and speak and testify what they have gone through. Many live with it. Many that you have seen on the street, mad out, not in their right mind, had tried the system to go through the system, and at the helm corruption is there, and they could not manage to go through. Henceforth it damaged them. These influencers, right? People with influence. All right? The judges tried to seduce Susanna, right? And how they do it? One day, Susanna went into the garden as usual with her two servant women. No one else were there except the two judges. Susan did not see them, who had hidden themselves and were watching Susanna. It was very hot, and she decided to take a bath. So she said to her servant, "Bring me some bought oil and some perfume. Unlock the gates so that I won't be disturbed." The servants locked the main gates and went out by the side door to get what Susan had asked for. They did not notice the two dirty judges, wicked judge, right? They did not notice that they, at least because they were hiding to bring down this girl, right? Almighty God of Daniel. As soon as the servant had left, the two judges jumped out from their hiding place, ran to Susanna, and said to her, "The gates are locked." Susanna, she talk to her, no. Him a talk to her, no. Because them have Susanna now. Pat Susanna have to go let off crutch, right? To save herself. I'm talking to somebody this morning. I don't know who I'm talking to. Somebody had gone through similar ordeal. I'm talking to you this morning. But you didn't get no help. You live with it. And it hampered your life until this day. I'm talking to that person. Right? Or that person you knew of. Yes. Yeah. As soon as the servant had left, the two judges jumped out from their hiding place, ran to Susanna, and said to her, "The gates are locked and no one will see us. We are burning to have sex with you. Give us what we want. If you don't, we will go to court and swear that we saw you. Send your servants away so that you could be alone with a young man." Remember, I told you in those days, if they caught you committing adultery, it's death penalty. Now, when the police stop you on the road and I go give you a ticket, them ask you, you can't help yourself, what you can do for yourself, right? So they're saying to Susanna, either you let off the crutch, right? Or we are going to tell a lie upon you. And because we are judge, and we, the judge and the authority, is going to believe. Because we were here to give justice. Right? And we them are going to believe. Oh, glory be to God. Eh? There is no way out. Susanna mourned. So she thought. Because of the high profile man. Right? So una did their think injustice now in our courthouse. Una think so. Una take things for granted. And I think because them name judge, them name police, them name prime minister, them name minister of justice, them not corrupt, them name DPP, them not corrupt. You still they believe so. That's where we not go wrong. Right? Corruption is everywhere to be found. The pastor, you think, oh, child, leave them alone. There is no way out, Susan mourned. Why? If I give in to you, I could be put to death for adultery. Right? If I refuse, you will still have me trapped. So Susan were caught between a rock and a hard stone. But she, at that moment, had to make a decision. She had to know whom she's putting her trust into. And she bisect PMP, she bisect JLE, and she did not go to UIC. She goes straight to God. Straight to God. She go. Right? But I would rather to be your innocent victim than sin against the Lord. Right? I would rather to be, she make that decision that she would rather to be an innocent victim than give in to these two men, because what it would have done, Susan would have just opened the floodgate for more corruption, and more young beautiful girl would have felt the hands of these two wicked judge. And I'm quite sure that's the position the Privy Council will take on the 14th. All they already decided, right? Just to stop more innocent people being trapped by these influencers. So an example has to be set here, and I'm quite sure the learned judge will strike the balance. Yeah. So she started screaming as loud as she could, talking about Susanna, and the two judges began shouting, now trying to overpower her with their shouting their accusation, while one of them ran and unlocked the gate. Why? Just look at the case. They run. Remember, the two servants locked the gate, right? So they wouldn't have any case if the gate remained locked. How would the young man get in, right? So they have to go and unlock the gate, right, to leave an evidence of entry, right? As soon as the servants in the house heard all the noise, they ran into the gardens through the side door to find out what had happened to Susanna. Right? The judges told their story, and the servants were shocked and ashamed. Such a thing had never before been said about Susanna. So they were all surprised at what happens to Susanna, because they knew that Susanna panty don't come off of her unless she have a beard, right? And to say they catch Susanna in the garden having sex, no man, am I hearing right? Is Susanna gone crazy? The same thing happens into the jury room, and was told to the judges, and they did nothing. Their discernment or their discretion could not see that something has gone wrong there. Now these servants says nothing, but waiting on the day of the court, the day of decision, right? They held Susan and said, "Oh, Susan really do that," until the day of decision, right? Such a thing never before been said about Susan. All right, we move into the other phase of the story. This phase named the judges testified against Susanna. So now here is the case against Susanna, right? The next day, when the people assembled at Joachim's house, the two judges arrived fully determined to carry out their wicked plan to have Susanna put to death. In front of all the people they said, "Send for Joachim's wife, Susanna, the daughter of Hilkiah." When she was called, she came in with her parents, her children, and all her other relatives. Susanna was so graceful and beautiful that the two wicked men ordered her veil to be removed. Them want to see her again. Even the last time, to make them penis stand up in them pants, to make their desire rose again, even for the last time. Wow, wickedness in high places. So they asked the veil, we call it now mask, to remove. Make me see the graciousness of this wonderful woman that has my penis rising and standing even just through the thoughts of her. But because she not give me this, have it dead. Oh, glory be to God. Right? Yes. That the two wicked men ordered her veil to be removed so that they might enjoy looking at her. Her family and everyone else were in tears. Denamos. Right? Can you imagine? Can you imagine how they felt? Last moment for their daughter, their relatives, their loved ones, through the hands of these powerful influencers. Right? How many of you have fallen into that situation? Dangles, long time. Dangles, long time. Glad you're here. The two judges stood up in front of the people, placed their hands on Susanna's head, and began making their accusation against her. What the accusations are. She was crying, but she looked up to heaven because she trusted the Lord. So, people, wanna hear? Whomsoever you conceive him to be, trust in the source of alkalinity, purity, and sanity. Trust in that source. Whether you call him Allah, you call it Selassie, you call it whatsoever name. Right? Because if that name that they call was in the form of a man, there would be room for corruption. But because the God of nature is not of man, right? Then there is no corruption in the God of nature, right? So Susanna knew that very well. So Susanna did not put her trust in no man, because she see what influencers are doing, and man to man is so unjust. Yes. So Susanna knew that. That's intelligence. That is official intelligence, not artificial intelligence. She did not put her trust in the artificial intelligence of man. Right? She put her trust in the God of nature. Because at the commencing of this word, she were taught by her parents the laws of nature. Right? She didn't put it in the pastor. The pastor would want peace as Susanna graciousness too. So there would be unjust. And if you listen in the case, money was used to bribe. Right? In this case, I'm trying the case here, you know. Right? But no money was used here. But just the grace of Susanna. Right? Right? Good. She was crying, but she looked up to heaven because she trusted the Lord. The two men gave the following testimony. Right? We were walking in the gardens when this woman came in with her two servants. Woman, she locked the main gate and asked the servant woman to leave. Their version. Right? Then a young man who had been hiding, the big finger not tell lie, and them did a hide. Right? So you then say, big finger not tell lie. They are the one who were hiding. Right? Hiding in the garden, came to her and they laid down together. So they make up them story neat. Right? Right? We were in a corner of the garden, and when we saw what was happening, we ran over and caught them in the act. Oh, glory. How many of you have gone through those? How many of you have been blackmailed that way? How many of you have to let off your sweetie, sweetie, bubble, bubble? Because you think you have no choice. You did not take the route of Susanna. Right? You prefer say anything or anything. Right? Me no want this grace come down for me. See the techie. Techie. I hope you're not going to tell nobody now, you know. Techie. Right? Now, I'm not no wrong if me just give a little piece. If I free myself, wrong. You're just committing a crime that time. You just commit a crime if you had done that. Right? Stood up to what you know and believe in, and you know what happens, right? We tried. This is their excuse now. Now, two strong judge. This is where the first question would ask at the Privy Council. A two uno and a one man, and two uno couldn't hold the one man. That what I'm saying here. But we tried to hold on to the man, but he was too strong for us. He ran and opened the gates and got away. Remember, one of the same judge go open the gate, you know. So you see how people can flip the script on you, right? 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 Yeah. He ran and opened the gate and got away. But we were able to hold the woman. We asked her who the man was, but she refused to tell us. We swear that our testimony is true, said those wicked judge. Because the two men were not only leaders in the community, but also judges. The people believed their story and condemned Susan to death. Good. Remember, it happens to the regular court. We're talking about Adidja's Palmer's case now. And injustice was done there. It has been shown. Oh, glory be to God. And they appealed. And it was turned down at the appeal. Corruption meet them again. Corruption. Right? Versus corruption. So you're going to get more corruption. But when corruption meets with alkalinity, with purity and sanity, corruption stink up Europe. Corruption stink rotten bones. All the rotten bones were dug up in the court of appeal. Yes? Rotten bones that corruption has causes. Right? And leaving a lot to be desired on Jamaican justice system. Let me read that again. Because the two men were not only leaders in the community, but also judges. Telling lie on a pretty girl because them want crutches. Right? Right? Me know now if certain judge see me, corrupted judge, me no see the light of day again. If I expose them like this. Yes. Because everybody afraid to bring corruption to the forefront of the ordinary people. Right? Because they are the one these corrupted men feed off. The unlearned. Those that said, I don't know and I don't want to know. Those that would come on this live. Those that would come on this live right now and see me saying all these things and quickly say, we're not going to bed. The whole man. Right? And find all manner of evil to say. Because you are corrupted. You support corruption. You love corruption. You hate anybody who talk against corruption. Your spirit can't take such a person. So you can't even stay on this live to even watch a man attack against corruption. You come and you see me and you hear say that and you run like thief like me pepper you. Yeah. Not even to mention to give a gift or a likes. Me won't get that from you. No. But if I were corrupted and teaching and preaching corruption, the amount of heart you say go up on the right hand side. Right? Corruption and rubbish, lies. If I were teaching them hilariousness, cussing out people, right? The amount of blue arrow you'd seen going around to hook up people, sharing. But live like this does not share around. Live like this does not get likes. Live like this does not get gift because of the level of corruption in this space. DJ Star One, stay so. Right? I read that again. Because the two men were not only leaders in the community, but also judges. The people believed their story and condemned Susanna to death. So we go in the final phases. Susanna were rescued now. Corruption were flushed out now. Right? Corruption is gonna flush out now. The rescue mission. Right? There were no privy council for Susanna. Right? But there's a privy council for us today. Right? So let's hear how, and let's wait and see if Adidja Palmer and his accused has been rescued by the UK Privy Council. Alright. Then Susanna cried out in a loud voice, Eternal God. Notice the word eternal God. Right? Eternal God. Right? Nothing can be kept secret from you. You know everything before it happens. Here I am about to die, but you know that I am innocent, that these men are lying. Why must I die? Now, you see determination with willpower, knowing yourself, trust yourself, then you can afford to appeal to the eternal God. If you don't clean, then you cannot appeal to the eternal God. If you know say you do the thing, then you cannot appeal to the eternal God. He will turn it back on you. But Susanna knew that she were not guilty. So she turned to the eternal God. Right? Right? The Lord heard her prayer and led a young man named Daniel to speak out just as Susanna was being taken away to her death. Is Isaac Buchanan is the Daniel of this case. Is Isaac Buchanan, Mr. Buchanan, is the Daniel who have sat there and would have seen the irregularities in the case. And said, all right, let's not jump the gun. Let's hear what happened in the story. Now, Daniel would have shouted. So he said, he shouted, I refuse to be a part of her death. Lord Jesus, I refuse to be a part of her death. Everyone turned around to look at him and asked, who that? Where he come from? You know, here they learn the judge say, she do it. She do it. What are you talking about? They asked. The judge said she see, him see, and caught them red-handed. The judge see everything. What you talking about? You're a madman, Daniel. A lot they thought that Mr. Buchanan were wasting his time because the deal has done said. The local court of appeal had already turned it down. So the local authorities looking forward for the Privy Council not even to accept the application. Yes. So they were fully confident that it's a done deal. Right? That deal has been done, plan has been executed, and everyone now started to think how these men gonna cope behind bars for life. Here comes Daniel. Daniel stood up before them and said, people of Israel. Isaac Buchanan stood up and said, people of Jamaica, how foolish can you be? Are you going to condemn an Israelite? Are you going to condemn a Jamaican, an Israelite woman to death on this kind of evidence? Let's translate it in our cause. Or are you going to condemn a Jamaican man or Jamaican men to death on this kind of evidence? That's what Isaac Buchanan has done. You haven't even tried to find out the truth. But because the Privy Council had brought it down, so the case should have been stopped from you find out that the jury were tainted. Then you should order a retrial. Yes?